Hello and welcome to the Tower of God video. Today we'll be doing a review on Yasratcha and whether you should summon for him. Like always, I'd like to give you a quick answer to that question before I dive deep into him. He is worth summoning for, and he does his job well. He isn't broken, but the role that he does is really good, so if you really want to summon for him, who am I to say no? But as a free-to-play player, he's not a must-have unit, but his value is very, very good. So in all honesty, I would summon for him if your most of your team is fine, but you just need that little oomph to keep pushing, then I would go and rainbow him. If not, and you're already satisfied with what you have, I wouldn't summon. He's not a must-have unit, but he is a very valuable unit if you do summon for him. Either way, I like this unit a lot. I actually like him a lot. Was on the fence when I first saw him, but I read his kit and I was all like, there's a lot of potential. But let's go down to it, and I'll give you guys a review, a breakdown of this character and everything that he does now that I've rainbowed his name and I've used him for like a week, almost a week. So we'll go off with his passive called Feline Sight. And at the start of battle, Yasratcha inflicts the mark of Feline Sight on an enemy in the position mirroring his. That's so big. When I tell you this is so broken, it is so broken, but that's a really important part of his passive. Okay, and the marked enemy receives laceration with each damage dealt by Yasratcha, and the damage resistance decreases by 20% if you have a rainbow, max of 5. When the marked target is killed, Yasratcha becomes invincible for 3 seconds. Inflict the mark again on the enemy with lowest HP and casts Daze. Okay, basically, you pick the character that you want. Based on the position that he is, the one who's like in the opposite end of that is what gets hit by the passive. And then whoever gets hit by the passive gets a bunch of debuffs. And Yasratcha gets by 20% magic resistance if you have him rainbowed. And then once they die, they inflict on someone else. Yasratcha gets a little invincibility in between, right? Which is important because it leads into his first skill called Daze. Yasratcha fascinates the enemy with the mark of Feline Sight for 5 seconds and deals 300% of his attack 4 times. Does a stupid amount of damage. I'm telling you, when you rainbow this guy, that does a stupid amount of damage. The familiar cat is summoned where the target was standing, provoking enemies by 5 seconds. While using the skill, Yasratcha cannot be attacked, and he recovers 500 energy while standing still. At first, I was confused onto why they were doing that, but that kind of leads into his passive over here. You'll see once we put him into action, but essentially, while he's not being able to move, he gains energy, which is really good because it helps him with his ults and everything in between. But this Daze is really important because it casts Provoke and you're untargetable. So the only way you'll get hit by an attack is if it's an AoE attack, for example, but no one can like target you, which is really good. Protects you from assassins, from single target skills. It's a very good skill. And then there's also, while we're at it, we might as well just go to the other skill called Purple Flash. Deals attack damage basically, and steals 200 energy. Then a giant clock appears and scratches the enemy, dealing 300% of attack as 4 times and steals energy. Basically, it just steals a lot of energy. It's really good. The energy steal meta, I think, is going to be a thing moving forward, and especially with the Mago set. And there's like 3 units back to back that has energy steal. So, you know, but that's essentially what it is. And then we have the ult. That's why you choose Mercury, which is basically transformation, kind of like Yama's thing. And then they're invincible while they're doing it, and then they fire a whirlwind, which looks kind of similar to the other skill here, but it's fine. It's a little bigger. And then they stun them. Stunning is always good. And then he deals HP percentage, which is really good. The reason why it's good is because it scales. So basically, this will always be relevant because you know that this special will always do a stupid amount of damage regardless of how much someone is paracraft because of the 15% of match XP. You know, it's really good. Either way, that's his skills. And then we can look at his equipment over here. His exclusive equipment. I didn't 40 it, my bad, you know. Either way, magic pace increased by 40% when using Daze. So that's really important. Daze is such an important skill, but essentially, that moves does 40% more pierce damage, magic pierce, which is really good. And then Fascination always lands, which is really good for an assassin because essentially that also goes with Daze, by the way. Fascination is the Daze skill, so it makes the effect of Daze work. And that's important because assassins don't really have high accuracy, especially when you've played the game for a long time. You know how assassins struggle to hit an enemy. I don't know why they did that, but this makes it so that like this assassin is actually useful. Because imagine having a unit that does all this crazy stuff and they cannot hit the target. Anyways, that's really good. Immune to stats effects is whatever. Yasratcha's special move skill increases by 40%. Every time he inflicts mark of feline sight, basically his ultimate does more damage every time the passive starts activating, right? Which is really good. Which means that this special damage will do a lot more damage, right? Anyways, let's go to his revolution over here. If you have him Rainbow 5, while Yasratcha finishing move hits, that's his ultimate basically, he gets 50% decreased damage, which is really good. I mean, they could have changed it to something else. Like, I think they should double down on the damage, but having 50% damage decrease is actually very good for survivability. So we like those. And then Yasratcha becomes immune to energy decrease during battle, which is good because I feel like there's going to be an energy decrease meta going on. And then he creates a barrier, which is cool, I guess. It lasts for 5 seconds. I mean, it sounds shitty, but because the feline sight activates whenever you kill someone, this barrier is actually kind of good, right? But essentially, so now that we got this skill, now we can actually talk about how Yasratcha works as a unit, right? So when the round starts, he doesn't actually attack anybody, right? He activates the passive, and the first thing that he does generally is activate his daze, which does the provoke, right? And does a stupid amount of damage, right? Because he's an assassin. So he doesn't actually do regular attacks first, right? And then afterwards, he like do everything else. So that's important because this does a stupid amount of damage, right? So if you're lucky and you place Yasratcha in the right place, you can get someone eliminated immediately and then activate the passive again, right? So because he casts provoke during the start of battle, generally he doesn't really get hit by anybody because the enemies are provoked and he can't be targeted. So unless if the enemy team does an instant AoE attack, which is never, Yasratcha has enough time to actually do the things that he needs to do at the start of battle because he cannot be targeted when he uses daze. So there'll be a couple seconds when the passive starts, and then daze will hit, and then everything else hits. So I will just do a run of Yasratcha on a trial. Obviously, I'm not going to win this. I'm trying to make this as simple, just so you can see what's going on with this unit. I'm going to just pick this unit. I have Yasratcha, Albelda, and Princess Anna, just so there's like not that many things going on, so you can see. I'm going to put this in 1x speed so you can see how Yasratcha really works. But yeah, so we have here, he'll do this, he'll activate his passive, right? And then the cow will hit. He cannot be targeted anymore, right? And then he does his special move because I have him rainbowed, but then he activates his passive again. Then he puts his cats in here, and then he does his regular skill, and then he just repeats in circles, right? So he does a stupid amount of damage. That's generally how it works, right? Like he'll activate his passive, then daze. So for the beginning of the match, it's really hard for him to actually die, especially when you have him rainbowed and you have the 50% damage decrease on him. And then the shield too, I'm not gonna lie, the shield doesn't really do that much. Are we gonna win this? If we are, that's kind of crazy. If we are, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, we're gonna win this. Look at this. We should win this. Yeah, look at that. It's crazy. Anyways, we're not gonna win the next one with Rack, so I'm just gonna exit. Rack ain't built like that. But obviously the deficit isn't that high. It's less than 200. So obviously it's not that difficult of a fight because I haven't really been doing trials that much anymore. But it's not that, like, he's a very good unit, right? So because of that, and the best thing about him, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is the fact that he can select who he wants to fight. So I have him on this team, and the thing about Yasratcha is that he's a sub DPS, so you kind of don't want to have him as the main DPS, obviously because he's sub, but you want to make because of this provoke, he just does what you need him to do, right? So for example, on this battle, okay, what's his name? Asensio is a pain to fight against because of his invincibility arrow thing that goes around everywhere, right? But the thing is that only activates after he ults. So if you wait long enough and Asensio uses his ult, he'll just like destroy a large part of your team. So to get around that, just get Yasratcha. He comes in, instantly kills Asensio, You don't have to worry about him. This is the easy dub. I'll show you what I mean. Ignore the rest of the team, but he's just a very good unit. And because he's an assassin unit and he does a stupid amount of damage, he can like essentially stop enemies from doing what they can do before we even reach that. Oh no, I forget this. Okay, ignore my. Okay, I know my Gus Dang is not rainbow. It was a side time, but essentially that's how it is with Yasratcha. The sets that you really want to use with him, in my opinion, would either to maximize his survivability. If you have him rainbowed, I guess it can use the provoke set. I don't think I had as much success as I wanted to, but this build is definitely made for the Mago set, because the Mago set is used for energy decrease that will increase crit damage and crit rate. This unit doesn't really need crit rate, but it's nice. It makes it easier for you to rate like 100% his crit rate. But you want to use the Mago set. You can also use the Raihana set as an assassin unit, because he'll use days first. So if you use the Raihana set, there's a 90% chance. See, look at this. Oopsies. Well, look at that. Asensio is dead now. Asensio does not exist, right? And before he could do anything, this unit just does everything. Comes here. Ignore my team. So this team is like a leftover team. This is my experimental team. Just dump a bunch of stuff together. During this entire time, Yasratcha hasn't really been hit at all, and Yasratcha comes in and just hopefully clears the team. The thing is about Yasratcha, like I said before, if you have a DPS unit, you can kind of protect him while he does all the stunning, the energy decreasing, and the provoke. But if you have him as the main DPS, he will be targeted, even if the provoke will hit. But once the provoke is gone, Yasratcha is gonna get bullied. He's gonna get bullied. So you kind of want to have a DPS unit to like distract everybody, but with the distract and the provoke, and then you have a tank together. Yasratcha just does not get hit until the end of the round, which is really, really good. So like I said before, when I'm talking about builds, I use the Mago set with him. I don't think it's the best set, but it's the set that I've had the most fun with, specifically because it does a lot of damage because of the crit damage increase with the set, and that's including the revolution that you can add to him, and also the set. I have a critical damage increase. I went all in on the on the crit damage increase because I want to use the Mago set on him. And then even with his revolution, I don't have everything built for him for the revolution, but I do have his crit rate and in his attack, and obviously his crit damage increase. So he does a lot of damage basically because he has 100% crit rate. Ignore these low stats, but you see crit rate is 110. Okay, with the crit damage increase, it's guaranteed to do a stupid amount of damage. Like I said before, other sets that might work well with him, I used this set with him a little bit. When you use this set, he just does like no damage, and it's mostly just a utility based. But I think this would only really work if your Yasratcha is tanky, and you invest on like a more defensive build for him. But because you want to use, when you're using this set for him, you're using it as a utility character for him instead of it being a damage dealing unit. But I like my damage boom boom, so I'm using the Mago set. Raihana set's really good too because he uses days first. The first hit he will do a stupid amount of damage, and Raihana is based on the first attack they do. So which makes it so that you can like one tap maybe like really, really like hard dealing units or tanky units like Durek. Fighting Durek is a pain, but fighting Durek or fighting Rag or units like that. I'm not sure about Rag because Rag is red element, but you get the picture, right? Units that also might be kind of good. No, I wouldn't use this unit Rafflesia because he gets a lot of energy anyways. I think it's just kind of overkill. And he also has status immunity on his kit, so Rafflesia wouldn't really be a good set for him in my opinion. You could also use the Barrier set for survivability. Barrier set just works on anybody. I'm not gonna lie. If you want to use for utility base and you don't want to use a provoke, you can use Barrier. Barrier is a broken set actually. It's so broken. You can use Barrier on literally every single character, and there's benefits to apart from like maybe like one or two, but That would be the goal for this unit. The overall like idea for this unit. Now in terms of teams, he really just works on any team as a sub DPS. And if you need a fifth option, he works. If you need as a pseudo tank, kinda, if you build him correctly, that kind of works as well too. He's just a very, very good unit, in all honesty. But since he does magical resistance, you want to have units around him that also decrease magical resistances. So Soma Iqua works with everybody, but Soma Iqua has resistances on that kit somewhere. I'm trying to figure out where, but they have I think is it the ult? I think it might be the ult. I don't know, but they have magical resistance somewhere in that kit. And Dorsey is also really good too for that as well too. Summer and Dorsey, she's also green SSR unit that decreases magical resistance as well. If you need a support, if you want to really go for it, yeah, I don't really support Leroy that much, but Magical Pierce is also very good since it's a magical unit, right? And they have magical resistant Pierce also in that kit, in the exclusive equipment for Yasratcha, so that'll be very good too. But yes, if you want to maximize Yasratcha's damage, then I would do a unit that has magical resistance in that kit in some shape or form for do well with him, because then Yasratcha will just do more damage because of his passive, right? For the green team, I mean, this guy's physical, but you know, we love Calivan. This guy really buffs the green team because I think he just beats Yuri in like most situations. Like in most situations, you'd rather just get Yasratcha instead of Yuri, so he just outclasses Yuri in like for the most part. And then you have if I were to make a green team with this character, for example, let me go to trials and not blank out. I would mostly do something along the lines of maybe you have Tramray, you have a little Tramray over here. You really should just put Yasratcha in any part of the field that's really troublesome. Apart from, the only thing that you won't really do that well against maybe is other assassins, because the way the assassins work is they'll target someone. So then like sometimes Yasratcha will miss an assassin. So like fighting against Michael would not be a good idea because Yasratcha might just miss him and just not target Michael altogether. But literally against these three, the one that's most annoying, I like fighting against the healer, or like the really annoying, either the tank or the healer is generally what I go for. And because he goes for the character with the lowest HP, if this Yasratcha can like kill the attacking damage dealing unit immediately, he'll probably go for like a unit that's almost about to die or a support unit. In both of those cases, killing a support unit or just guarantee killing the next enemy is so big that Yasratcha is just so valuable, you know. And because you don't really need the Raihana set, and if you have the Mago set, he will still do a bunch of damage throughout the whole game and not just one enemy for that first hit, which is why I prefer the Mago set over the Raihana set with him, because he can spam his Daze ability a lot. Whereas most assassin units only has like their assassin unit one time, whereas Yasratcha has it the entire round, the entire game basically, right? So he'll do a stupid amount of damage first time, ultimate, then do the same amount of damage to someone else, right? Which is so good. Right? This character is so good, bro. And his stuns reduce. Oh my god, he's so good. Anyways, with Yasratcha, you can put him anywhere, honestly, to whatever enemy you're really struggling against. Then you'll just put that, or the problem child of the team is what you put Yasratcha at. You'll have a summer character over here, and then you know it's just so good. It's just after that, everything else just doesn't matter. You can put either Calivan if you want to. If you don't have Calivan, you can put in Dorsey, Summer and Dorsey. You can put Ram too if you want to, because he's like he's just so good. Like Yasratcha is really good. And all, but yeah, that's the review. But yeah, have a good one. I hope you liked the video, and peace out.